as for standing up the stoops, and no one has a photo of this man. They say he'd stand for hours, staring at the hills, his bicycle beside them, both of them as still as statues in the sunset, and no one knew his mind. And when he died, they said, one of a kind. We laid him down this morning. The rain was falling fast. Those who thought they knew him, they were all with him to the last. The priest, he sprinkled prayers and holy water in the rain, and we said we'd hardly ever see the likes of him again. And no one has a photo of this man. No one seemed to know his plans. He was lonely as a baby and gentle as a child, and it seems he often spoke once in a while.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to what I think will be a wonderful exhibit of Kieran's photography. And so we've been after him for a while to bring this along. Here we are. And Kieran, my dear, do you have something to say about all this wonderful work?
Well, I guess I could. Because these are all like from the...
I know they're all the townspeople, our famous townspeople.
Yeah. So they really are a collection of North Kerry, I suppose, rather than just Listowel. Because to get this kind of people together, you have to have something on, and Writers' Week happened to be on. And it was a case of photograph them quickly, go back home, develop, print, run back, find them again wherever they are, and have them signed.
Wow.
And I did that for probably, well, the 17 of them anyway. I probably did a couple of more with it, but these were the main characters that built Writers' Week, or was in the building of it, like, in the early 70s, I suppose, the late 60s, early 70s. And these were the main characters. They're not all writers, they're not all poets. They are dancers, they are copper panel beaters, they are, priests. He's a poet or a writer as well. And they're different people, just from our local character and our local area between here, my van, Ballylongford probably, and Listowel. So, Finucane.
That's right, Finucane too.
You never knew that there was two poets in Finucane, Maureen Beasley and May Lyons.
I didn't know you had two.
Who knew May Lyons? There you go.
Did you? I didn't know that.
I'm glad that there are people still, that I've taken their pictures and they're still here.
That's right. I remember Maureen, but I don't remember
Yeah.
Kathy Lyons. That's wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you, my dear.
All right.
Billy?
Thank you.
Welcome to the retrospective, I suppose it's called, Kieran, of 17 photographs from the 70s. Kieran has taken these photographs in black and white, and some of the people are here tonight who are in the photographs. I'm just looking at Mickey McConnell, who sang for us. He's very like Dorian Gray over there at the moment. It hasn't changed a bit, but it's a phenomenal exhibition, and it kind of brings us back to a different place, a different time. And I think the black and white, the fact you took them in black and white, adds that timelessness, that sense of enduring, almost secrecy or mystique about, you can kind of get into the people's hearts and souls. I saw my dad's, the incredible photograph of my dad, and he's looking somewhere far away in that one, and it's a look he had when he was maybe not, it was reflective. The usual photographs are all happiness and joy, but that's reflective, It's an incredible achievement, as I was saying. Now we have quite a few people here who are in the photographs. We have some who are missing. Kevin O Donovan is missing. You have to think of all these people, the great Sean McCarthy, Maureen Beasley, Dan Keane, Anna May, as already mentioned. That's Willie Finucane, one of the lesser known poets, but one of the more brilliant ones. from the lots near Knackanore. He'd be a cousin of our own. And one of his greatest poems was The Night They Raided Flynn's, which was about a raid on the public house known as Flynn's in Knackanore. And it was excellent. And he cussed the Keanes because a member of the Garda Síochána that night was a Keane, but a very nice man as it turned out. But so that was that's him. Bryan, of course, Bryan MacMahon, represented by Owen. There's my dad, Nora Relihan, can't be here tonight. Father Gaughan can't be here. We have Denny Hannon. I was going to say Denny Cannon, but I'd say he's more of an archbishop at the very least at this stage. Antonio Callaghan, who's also passed on. So we'd like to remember those people who are not in the exhibition, who are in the exhibition but are not here. But also those who are here, and it's testimony, I think, to their endurance, and also to the fact that Denny Hannon, I think, is the elder statesman now. He had a long journey to come, almost 90 seconds walk for me, but about 2 hours for Denny at the moment. But he eventually got there with the help of his son, Maurice. He's slow, but he always gets there. So it's welcome to have you here, as I was saying, the elder lemon, the elder statesman of Listowel. We have some speakers here tonight. Kieran has just spoken to you there. Now, but Denny Hannon is here, and he might say a few words to us, Denny, if you'd like. Sorry, that's fine, Denny. Yeah. Catherine Moylan, of course, is with us. Catherine is taking charge of being very centrally involved, chairperson of Writers Week, and she's going to say a few words for us now, Catherine, if you'd like to come up. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, it's a relief to take off the mask. We have a small but mighty group here this evening. And I suppose due to COVID, we had to restrict the numbers. Really, it's an exhibition that I think is so special. It's been important to spread the word and let everybody see these lovely portraits. But I'm very grateful, and Writers Week are very grateful to all of you for making the effort this evening. We are very appreciative because I know we're still all a little shell-shocked after the last 2 years, and every social occasion these days we're a little bit tentative about. So from all of us at Writers Week, thank you for making the effort to come here this evening. I'd like to thank the Visual Arts Committee, Jim Dunn and Liz Dunn and Louise, and there's a couple more here as well, Emer and Carl, and it was Carl's brainchild to set up this exhibition. She was talking to Kieran about this. So I'd like to thank all of them who did the heavy lifting and all the work here this evening. Billy, I'm delighted you mentioned there about the reflective pose by your dad, because every time I come into this room and I see these portraits, I think for me, it puts me in a reflective mood, and I look at the portraits and I wonder what were they thinking and how did they think about Writers Week at the time, and what would they have imagined it to be 50 years later. So these portraits, if I'm right, they were taken in the 70s,
Yeah.
So not giving away anyone's age, but about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong now, but I think this is our first physical event after COVID. And so for me, it is lovely that our first physical event is celebrating the people who had the vision and the bravery and the courage to, I suppose, be part of Writers Week 50 years ago. There's one other thing, I won't be here too long because I know that we have to be careful time-wise, but I was thinking this evening as well, I was looking at how many pictures do people take every year. And apparently in the world last year, there was 1.44 trillion photographs taken, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it, because we all have our phones out and we're snapping this and all the rest of it. But how many of us actually print those photos? So for me, after seeing the portraits, Kieran's portraits this evening, I said we nearly have, I suppose, the responsibility to maybe print some of the photographs that we love and hang them up and frame them and admire them, like we're all admiring the portraits this evening. Because 1.44 trillion photos are almost fleeting, they're kind of transient, and there's almost, for me, that they'll disappear. So we're so lucky that Kieran minded this beautiful collection of portraits. And maybe we should all take a leaf out of his book and print and treasure some of our own as well. So I want to thank Pixie as well, Martina, for coming along this evening to, I suppose, treasure, to make a little, I suppose, summary of this evening, or to capture the moment the same way as Kieran captured it many decades ago. And I think that's everything. I know that we have, Mickey's going to treat us to another song, and I loved the song that he sang at the start. It was just absolutely, like he said, it couldn't have been more appropriate. And I'd like to thank you all for attending this short, sweet but mighty exhibition of 17 from the 70s. Okay.
I think I'll sing the song about your dad on the board. Do you want to introduce it, Pat?
Whatever you like.
Want to introduce it?
Yeah. This is a song Mickey wrote initially about my dad. It was commissioned over a pint a few weeks after my dad died. It took Mickey quite a time to write it. I suppose he knew my father better than most, but it's like a journey around Listowel, the town he loves so well. And then my dad passed away, and my mother passed away 6 years ago. And as my dad and mom went everywhere together, they were a very close couple, Mickey felt that she should be included in the journey around Listowel and in the song. So he sang it the day after the funeral, and caught us all by surprise, and of course there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It's a very emotional and very beautiful song, and an absolutely wonderful tribute to my mother and father, my mother Mary, of course, and we'd like to ask Mickey to sing it now in honour of this great occasion and in honour of Kieran Moloney's brilliant work.
If you don't mind, I'll sit in the shadow of the mat. There is nowhere quite so lonely as a silent, darkened stage, when the footlights have all dimmed and died, and the props are put away. But our town felt just as lonely as May turned into June, when God finally rang the curtain down and called our playwright home. But he cannot kill the rainbow or turn back the rising sun, nor undo the works of gifted men, even though their day is done. For they always walk beside us when the things they have to say are a part of what we were and are, and form the center of our ways. Then, when August skies were dark with rain, his Mary slipped away. They joined him and to guide him in his poetry, songs and plays. From that magical, much better place, the pair of them looked on, and forever lived together in the heartbeat of this town. So search for them in Market Street, Pound Lane, or in the Square, or late afternoon in Church Street. She'll surely find them there, or where the laughing, sparkling scenery field sweeps westward to the sea. There you'll follow in the footprints of Mary and John. And he always seemed to hear a tune that others seldom heard, as he walked through his beloved streets, or in the woods of Gurtenard. He would pause and talk to children, knowing each and every name of their seed and generation and the place from where they came. And the countrymen knew the guiding hand of Mary had coached him in her ways. So search for them in Market Street, on the lane, or in the square, or late afternoon in Church Street. Sure you'll surely find them there, or where the laughing, sparkling, silvery field sweeps westward to the sea. There you'll follow in the footprints of Mary and John. All the poets and the writers came to say their last goodbye, as did the actors and the critics, the mighty and the high, as they mingled with the townsfolk on his last sad journey home. Then each and everyone knew well we were parting with our own. But I take comfort from the shadows, for shadows mean the sun still shines, and not the clouds above us, and the ones that fog our minds. And each time the pen confronts the sword for the likes of you and me, there you'll find the gentle presence of Mary and John. So search for them in Market Street, on the lane, or in the square, where there's laughter, love, and music. Sure you'll surely find them there, or where the laughing, sparkling, silvery field sweeps westward to the sea. There you'll follow in the presence of Mary and John.
Thank you, Mickey. That almost concludes our relaunch, because the last time that I was at this exhibition was about 15 years ago in Chicago in DePaul University. Kieran was living in Chicago at the time, and Jimmy Deanan and myself went over. We had a fundraiser in DePaul University, about 400 people present for this very building here, and it was a great night. But the people that were there flocked around this fella's wonderful, wonderful photographs, and from all over the place they came. I remember well, Mayor Daley's brother was there. He was President Clinton's campaign manager, and he was very impressed, and so were we, and we were very proud of Kieran that night in Chicago. So it's great to have them back again, to have them up on the wall for all of us to see, and to bring back the memories of a time and a place, and the people who lived in that time and in that place. So thank you very much, and onwards and upwards now for Writers' Week and for everyone here in the Kerry Writers Museum.
Surprise speaker.
Oh, please, Jim. The more the merrier.
For those who don't know me, I'm Jim Dunn, and I'm head of the Visual Arts Committee at Writers' Week. And I hung the exhibition, and I must say it was probably the easiest exhibition I've ever put up. Normally I have paintings of all sizes and colours, and luckily all these were exactly the same size and all in black and white. And a lovely display too, but Kieran told me that there is actually one photo that's missing from this collection, and that's actually one of him at the same time, apparently sporting a massive afro. So what we're going to try and do, because it was quite difficult for people to visit this exhibition, is to actually move the pictures downstairs to a more open space, and with a little bit of luck we'll have an added photo to the collection. So I'm looking forward to that one. Being brought up in the world when it was black and white, this takes me right back to certainly my youth, and the sort of photos that we took, if you remember, were about this sort of size, and for someone to be able to magnify the photo and get them so clear back in 1970 is quite an achievement. And for those of you who don't know, that, and I certainly didn't know, that Kieran was a professional photographer in Chicago. And these photos were in his apartment, condo,
Or in my house.
as a constant reminder of Listowel. So it's lovely to think they've done
Actually, we moved 5 times in 20 years. We moved every 5 years, and we were moving up the notch a little bit every time.
Brilliant.
And I actually had them in my office. So I carried, and I had to make sure my office was a certain size, so I could hang them again at the next house. But it worked out.
Brilliant.
And they stayed with me, and they came back to the store. So it's good.
Now, before we finish, we have a memento poster, which I was able to do by taking all the pictures I'd just hung up and put them on the floor in order to take a photograph of them, so I wasn't reflected in the photograph. So I've hung this exhibition twice, in fact. But anybody who'd like to take one of these away, and if you can gather 1 or 2 people that are here in this photo and are here tonight, might like to sign the poster for you as well. So these are just outside. And having sat patiently for a little while, we do have refreshments next door. So what I see happening now is nipping next door, getting a cup of tea and a biscuit and a bun perhaps, and perhaps coming back here as well just to have a sit down and have a chat with people that you remember being black and white. Thank you very much.